It's Wednesday night. You know what that means. It means you're locked and loaded here with the Wrestling Inc. podcast to talk all things AEW Dynamite and talk the top news headlines and talk whatever shenanigans and banter comes about. I'm Justin LaBar coming to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, being joined by my normal Wednesday crew back together. Wait, reunited and it feels so good. My normal Wednesday night crew, north of the border, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. This man has refereed for over 20 plus years at WWE. This man has refereed an Undertaker WrestleMania match. This man is the Greek Mystique. This man made counting 3 cooler than Sesame Street ever could. He is the one, the only, Jimmy Korderas. Jimmy, good evening.
Oh, I like I said, these introductions are getting incredible, more incredible every week, and better than Sesame Street. Now that's
1,000%. 1,000%.
That's saying something, man.
You may count into 3. Pretty cool. Fun. True story. I helped teach both my kids how to count to 3 by showing them tapes of Jimmy Korderas. He's like a proud godfather in that respect.
Wow.
Rounding out our trios championship, coming to us down from the beautiful island of Puerto Rico. She is the spiciest thing south of Miami. She is sassy. She is smart. She is always entertaining. She is the one, the only NYC Demon Diva Isa. Good evening, milady.
Good evening, Justin. You are the best. I have hired you as a wingman. You really are the best with the intros.
Doing what I can. Got to set the tone. That's what we got to do here. Set the tone here as it is 10:17 p.m. Eastern time. If you are watching with us live, if you're watching later, if you're listening later, I just got to put you in the context of what it is here. I've had a long but fun day. We had our Busted Open Busties earlier this evening, which was a blast coming from the NYC SiriusXM studios. Wade Barrett, Gunther, Cody Rhodes, Dom Mysterio, Don Callis, a hell of a list there. So had a lot of other business. So I'm at this point, I'm running on adrenaline. So I just got to put people in the context here. And I'm happy to be back with you two, talk wrestling, running on adrenaline. Holidays are just a few days away here for Christmas, so that's the feeling I got. If you can't get with it, then move on. All right, let's talk about some news headlines before we get into Dynamite tonight. First off, this one coming this evening, it was posted in the 4:00 hour. A story that we know is interesting, but we don't know why. We don't know what it means. And the story is this: it is that there's a report from Axios that Warner Brothers Discovery, who currently is the distribution of AEW, Warner Brothers Discovery is currently in talks to merge with Paramount Global. Supposedly, Warner Brothers Discovery CEO, David Zaslav, we've heard his name a lot if you're a wrestling fan. He's one who's been known to be a big fan of CM Punk, which brings about interesting, rumors of Warner Brothers potentially in WWE. Supposedly, Zaslav has met with Bob Backish, excuse me. He's a CEO for Paramount, and they are working on negotiating this merger. Now, mergers are not anything new. We've seen a lot of it happen in the TV industry, especially with streaming taking a stronghold in the last couple years. So, Isa, we know these chess pieces are being moved around the board means something as it relates potentially to AEW's future, and they need to get their TV deal renewed. We've been hearing a lot of rumblings that maybe Warner Bros. Discovery has interest in WWE RAW, especially now with the return of CM Punk. So we know these chess pieces matter, but them merging with Paramount, does that mean one thing or another to any wrestling company? I don't know. Do you make anything of this at all?
Not really. I mean, I'm not an expert in this kind of area. I do know that Paramount Plus, it is associated with other networks. Like I believe they have MTV, CBS. So there's maybe
Viacom, yeah,
possibility, right? There's a possibility of this of maybe this company being able to be seen in a bigger platform, but I'm not too sure what it would all mean for the company that we do end up seeing signing with them.
Yeah, Jimmy, again, chess pieces being moved around here, so again, that's why it has all of our attention. But I guess it's too early to tell, huh? What this is exactly going to mean.
That's the big thing. It is too early to tell because right now they're in what seems to be the early negotiation stages. They're feeling each other out, is what it sounds like. At least, from what I've read. I'm not there in the meeting, so I don't know exactly what's being said. But it feels like all parties are feeling each other out. And you talk about distribution of the product. When they do merge, there is opportunities to expand the product in different avenues. And that's the big thing. And, the only problem with WWE, let's say they were to make a deal with, Warner Brothers Discovery and the merged company, people get used to tuning into USA on Monday nights. They will eventually get on board and get back on track if they want to watch. That's not the problem. The problem is, will the new company be as invested as the old company that they were with?
Right. Yeah.
Great point.
Yeah, that is a great point. And another note that's in this report about this believed merger to be happening is it notes that if this merger does complete between Warner Brothers Discovery and all of their assets and property and Paramount and all their assets and property, it would make one of the largest conglomerates in America. At that point, it would be rivaling Disney in terms of, when you're talking totality of assets. So something definitely to watch, man. 2024 just is, it's just lining up to be an insane year for us.
Yep.
Agreed.
All right. Another piece of news to take a look at here on Wrestling Inc. is more backstage details on MJF's AEW contract. Of course, he's been telling us for years that on January 1, 2024, his deal is done. He kind of doubled down on it and on I think it was a Sports Illustrated interview maybe earlier this week that he's not lied, that's still true. House of Wrestling with Nick Hausman has since followed up and has talked to several individuals in WWE with their reaction. One higher up source telling Nick that reiterating that this is all storyline, that is kind of believed that MJF is locked in, has signed a new contract, did so last year in 2022 before returning as the Devil. So, and another source also goes on to tell House of Wrestling that there's been zero talks between MJF and WWE, despite MJF mentioned in his latest interview that he'd be assessing his options once the December 30th pay-per-view is done and January 1 comes. So, Jimmy, we've touched on this several times over the past few months. It's hard to fathom that Tony Khan hasn't got ink to paper with MJF, given MJF's the center of his television show and is a world champion. But MJF is trying to at least uphold the belief and the narrative that he's a free agent, supposedly. I don't know why necessarily he'd say that if there's no reason to even try to have leverage and have numbers be thrown out there. If you truly are signed, at this point, I would just say you're signed. But he's saying he's not. I've pointed out that every single poster AEW's put out in 2024 has no sighting of MJF on it. I don't know if that's a storyline thing. If it's a storyline thing, it's a storyline thing that's costing them potentially ticket sales because he's not on your poster. What do you? I mean, you've lived this business. You've seen contract negotiations come up. What's your gut tell you right now with MJF?
My gut tells me, and I'll get into it more as we talk about the show tonight, that I think this is a great job of MJF working everybody, including the SI people who he did the interview with. Back in the day, even when you did the out of character, so to speak, interviews with some of the major organizations, news organizations out there, sports news organizations, you still, to some degree, kept that curtain drawn a little bit. You didn't give away the story. Let's put it that way. You gave them little tidbits, but at the same time, the big deals were the big deals, and this sounds like a big deal. And as we'll talk about later, it just seems like he's a big focal part of the program right now. And would you put that much invest that much television time into someone you weren't certain was going to be with you in 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks?
Yeah, Isa, I mean, obviously, 2 days prior to this January 1, we have this big World's End pay-per-view where it looks like everything is, and that was a theme of much of tonight's show, everything is on a collision course to, with MJF, with his title match with Samoa Joe, with all this devil nonsense. It feels like we're going to get a lot of answers, and it feels like it could be a night that could be booked to where it could be MJF's last night if they needed to book it that way based upon how it's going to go. But then we also see what we're talking about tonight. We see a backstage thing with Swerve. So, what do you think? What do you think, that he truly is still a free agent come January 1, or has him and Tony Khan just been having a nice bit of fun with all this?
It's funny that you bring this up, because when I first read the report, I was like, oh, that's cap. Like, I called BS immediately. I was like, this guy's re-signed. and they're working a storyline. But then I sat down and I thought about how Cody Rhodes was out there with the TNT Championship and negotiating a contract. We have heard from Moxley that he was AEW World Champion when he wasn't technically under contract, and they lost Jay Cargill in a matter of a week. So there's a part of me that says history. I mean, you would think that they have learned their lesson, but there's a part of me that knows that AEW has let people run out of their contract and still be in the process of negotiating. So I actually really feel very 50-50 about it. But if I'm TK, I think MJF is the name that I would want to secure forever, and I would have grabbed him and re-signed him a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, and also let's something else I didn't bring up here that's relevant to the conversation. Cody Rhodes in an interview, so that in the past week, I forget who. I apologize that I can't source it, but I'm just calling all of this a memory here. Cody Rhodes did an interview where he basically said he still talks to MJF. They're still friends. He talks on a regular basis. Very happy for MJF's success. And Cody Rhodes believes that one day MJF will find his way to WWE. Now that's, I mean, Cody grew up in this business. He knows when he says that it's going to generate conversation. So I thought that was an interesting choice for old Cody Rhodes to choose.
Yes, and the little, you talk about the little things. He said, like you said, one day. And remember, people forget, and I forget too sometimes, how young MJF is in a business where he can take this, God willing, he doesn't get injured and cost himself a career. I hate that. I don't want to even jinx it, but you know what I'm trying to say. Stay away from any unforeseen circumstances. And I think as well, one day you may just see him there, but I don't think January 1st is the day.
Yeah. I mean, if he did in fact sign in 2022, obviously in that time period, we've had back and forth with WWE of, Triple H in charge, Vince back in the fold, this and that. But in the last 6 months, especially in the last 3 since the merger officially happened, it's been very clear by the WWE product and business that Vince is not involved in the day-to-day creative. He's there at a high level with the board for certain situations, but this is truly Triple H's show, and this truly is the best WWE creative has been in a long, long time. So if Tony Khan did not get MJF signed over a year ago, and at this moment in time, MJF is still a free agent, looking at the way WWE is trending and looking at the way AEW is trending with things, that's not a fight that I'd want to be in if I'm Tony Khan.
And if it were to happen, it would be a massive blow that people just don't.
And it would be much of the same. Now, granted, obviously, CM Punk was in WWE before he was in AEW, but it would be potentially, if MJF truly is a free agent and could sign with WWE and could show up at the Rumble or could show up night after Mania, there would be similarities in the sense of AEW does not own the MJF name, so he'd be able to keep a same name and image and on the entire gimmick. I am pretty sure MJF, that entrance music, he owns that entrance music. He had that created and used that prior to AEW. So what I'm getting at is where fans that have been seeing CM Punk over the last few years in AEW coming out, best in the world, to Cult of Personality, and then they got to see it all just happen flawlessly and by surprise at Survivor Series. That same presentation would be able to happen for MJF. He would be able to keep the same name, have the same music, so it would be the same kind of situation.
Yeah, where he'll be able to pull Cody Rhodes. The difference here is that will be a pillar. This is an AEW original homegrown that they will be using, and that will be insane if that will happen. But again, history will show us that they let this contract go all the way before they're able to figure it out. But I will hope that MJF is what makes a difference and that he's secured in AEW. If I'm Tony Khan, I would make sure that he's happy.
Yeah, it's going to be wild times here in the next few weeks. And then, of course, all of 2024 to talk about. World's End, December 30th, which is much of what tonight's show builds towards. That's Saturday, December 30th. And then the next day, Sunday, New Year's Eve, I will be live on Sirius XM Radio for Busted Open for our Sunday morning show. I suspect we will have a lot to talk about. So
hopefully we find out who the devil is. I'm assuming that will be the reveal. How long can you stretch this out till?
I don't think you can go much more and it still matter.
Exactly.
So we'll give our theories on the devil here in a little bit once we get to it. Let's kick off Dynamite in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And we start off with more Continental Classic matches here in this tournament as Swerve Strickland with his 9 points up against Roosh with his 6 points. These two men each having parts of their body taped up and targeting those body parts. For Roosh, he's got his leg taped up, so Swerve's going after that. Roosh is going after Swerve's shoulder, which is taped up. 15 minutes into the match, I know Jimmy loves this. Swerve hits a 450. It's a Burning Hammer 450. He hits a 450 on Roosh. Roosh kicks out at 1. The crowd proceeds to chant "Holy shit!" I chanted "Holy shit" also, but for a different reason. But then just a few seconds later, Swerve eventually is going to hit his Swerve stomp and get the victory. So Swerve advances to 12 points, which is going to be a key number on his side of the bracket for the Continental Classic. Jimmy, your thoughts on this opener aside from the quick kick out? What did you think of this match?
Take out that quick kick out after that devastating 450, and I enjoyed the match. They took their time. They're telling a story. They sold. You know what I mean? Like you said, Swerve in the shoulder and Roosh with the leg, and it made sense. They told a nice little story. Other than the kick out, I thought it was fine. A very enjoyable match.
Isa, you Swerve when you drive. What's your thought of this opening match here with Swerve?
I love that. Oh my God, I keep telling you guys every week, and he just keeps growing and growing on me. Swerve is really just killing it right now. And we'll get to his interaction later. But when he had that interaction with MJF, that's when I was like, yeah, he is at the main event level at this point. And this tournament has really done a lot of good for him and I'm, again, I don't want to jump ahead, but I'm a fan of how this all ended up with this tie, and the blue bracket also feels like nobody knows what's going on or who's going to win. And we keep getting these banger matches every week, and this was one of them. Wasn't my favorite of the night, but definitely a solid opener and the right person won. And I think this really did a lot of good stuff for Roosh. I thought Roosh had a great showing in all of his matches.
Yeah, solid opener aside from the kick out, as we noted. So Swerve, not the last we're going to see of him. So stay tuned. If you did not see Dynamite, you are not going to want to miss us talk about where Swerve popped up later in the night. Backstage, we go to Chris Jericho, who he very honestly and earnestly addresses the fact that the Golden Jets, he and Kenny Omega, will not, in fact, get to have a tag team match at World's End as it was promoted the week prior. That because if you look at Kenny Omega's social, he announced late last week that he is in the hospital dealing with the effects of diverticulitis, and it is unknown for how long he is going to be out for. If you want a little bit of a recall in history with pro wrestling, diverticulitis is what Brock Lesnar dealt with when he was fighting in the UFC. Did not know he was dealing with it. Was still fighting at a high level in the UFC.
Yeah, Brock got caught very late. I'm hoping that Kenny's got caught a lot earlier because Brock almost died.
Yeah. So the diverticulitis does have some familiarity to pro wrestling and MMA fans. So nothing to be messed with. So Kenny's health not known how long he could be out for. He's out indefinitely. Jericho, again, noting that Kenny's health is the most important thing, and that whenever he is healthy, of course, he'll be welcome back to AEW. So real quick, we haven't got to talk about this. This did happen late last week with Kenny coming to this on social. And apparently Kenny's been dealing with not feeling 100%, but he was trying to tough it through for the company, working Ethan Page and Collision, coming out, cutting that promo last week. And he did not seem like he was all there in that promo any which ways. That kind of puts now some perspective of God, how much pain he might have been dealing with. Isa, again, not to make this doom and gloom about AEW, but, obviously Adam Cole's injured. We haven't seen much of Britt Baker. Word on the street is she's been dealing with some health. The Young Bucks are taking some at least on-screen time off to kind of reset. Obviously, they'll also CM Punk. We've just talked about MJF's a big question mark. This is just not the time to not have. It's never a good time to lose anybody who's a focal point of your show like Kenny Omega, but this just seems like the worst timing right now to not have Kenny Omega.
Yeah, agreed. This is when creative really has to step it up and come up with interesting stuff for the people that you do have there. It's giving me vibes of WrestleMania 32. Remember when everybody got injured prior to WrestleMania 32? They lost Seth, they lost Cena, they lost like everybody. And yeah, somebody brought it up in the chat. My main concern here is Kenny Omega trying to tough it out. CJ Perry also just went through an emergency surgery over a cut that she didn't get taken care of. Like a lot of what we don't realize is how much these wrestlers travel, how much they tough it out when they're going to something just to entertain us. And in the back end, you don't know what they're dealing with. I saw that promo last week on socials because I missed the show. And I got to tell you something. I was like, it wasn't like that's bad in like a bad way. I was like, it just doesn't seem right. Like something didn't click. And then you find out what he's going through. Regardless, I hope he gets well soon. He will be missed. Kenny Omega is a big name in AEW, and he will definitely be missed. But take your time and just be fully recovered before he comes back.
Yeah, well, Isa, to that promo last week, I don't know. I didn't see it on social, so I don't know if it got edited up or trimmed up for you. But if you watched it live during Dynamite, which we did last week, it went on, and they had the talking points they needed to hit, and most notably was they needed to make the match for World's End between Ricky and Big Bill versus the Golden Jets. And like at one point, the camera even cut, and I even saw like Jericho saying something, almost like reminding Kenny, like it felt like Kenny just wasn't all there with it. And looking back now, again, I feel for the guy that he's out there having to do that, and can only imagine how much.
But that's the thing, that the clip that I ran into was very heavily criticizing Kenny, and he said, "This is a guy you all love. Like this is a promo that he cut, and it was trimmed. It was trimmed because you said it went on. Yeah. It was like a 1.5-minute clip that I saw." But I was like, yeah, that doesn't feel like, I don't know if he was out of it, which it is what the case was, or he just didn't feel like he was invested. Like he was very distracted with something else. That's the way that it came off. Like to me.
Well, that was Wednesday, and then I guess Thursday's in the hospital, so he must have been close to the breaking point of realizing that he needed to get some help. Jimmy, I posed to Isa. Obviously, this is really bad timing for AEW, but I guess the flip side of this is next man up. This is an opportunity for somebody to take a spot.
That's when something unfortunate like this happens. I don't want to say this is the bright side, but one person's misfortune, unfortunately, is someone else's opportunity. Let's put it that way. Let's not say we have the situation with the tag team champions, one half of the tag team champion MJF having to find a substitute partner. Maybe we have a same situation here where Jericho ends up teaming with someone we don't expect. It could be very interesting. Maybe him and I don't know, pick a name that would make it very interesting to see, because it doesn't look like anybody from the Jericho Appreciation Society over there was gonna join.
So somebody behind the scenes in the Busted Open world said to me the other day, "Oh, wouldn't it be great? Because let's bring out Paul White again. Let's have another Jericho kind of reunion." I was like, when they had Paul White out for that street fight, he was at the stage, and then they did backstage stuff where they could mirror it. I'm like, I don't think that Paul White's quite. I don't know if the legs are quite going to be getting going down in the ring as much as it would be nice to.
I felt that promo from Jericho, it almost gave me he might be going away for a little bit vibes too. Like he wasn't very clear about what's next for him as well.
And the other thing about his promo too, Isa, if I may, it just like you said, Justin, it was genuine. You felt it. You felt the emotion in him as well. And I think everybody listening to that promo felt it as well.
Yeah. So get well to Kenny. Hopefully he's back at some point in 2024 and can still perform at the level that he is known to do.
And that's one of the old school things. I hope they get that out of their mentality is, I have to rush back.
Yeah.
Make sure you're 100% before you.
Well, and obviously today's wrestlers are far more mature and educated in a lot of ways than the generations prior to them in terms of, if you don't work, you're not getting paid, or here, take this, smoke this, snort this. You got to do what you got to do to get by. That's not as prevalent of the culture anymore. But it's also, and I want to give this compliment to Tony Khan. That's also. I feel like if you're in AEW, you can rest a little easier because Tony Khan has proven that unless because of disciplinary issues, he lets guys and girls contracts go to their the run completely. Even if he's not using them anymore, he pays them to the date that he promised that he pay them. So, I mean, obviously Kenny Omega's an EVP, so Kenny Omega's not getting cut, but it still should be just a point of ease of like focus on your health, get well. You're still going to get paid by the company, so don't do anything stupid. So. All right, back to in-ring action as we have more of the Continental Classic. This is an interesting situation. Mark Briscoe over like Rover with the crowd up against Jay Lethal. Now, both men have 0 points. They are both mathematically eliminated They can't. There's no way for them to advance in this Continental Classic based upon the point system. But they're having the match because it's just the round robin. Everybody in your bracket fights everybody. So like the match needs to be done. So Isa, I'm torn here, and I know you're a Briscoe fan as well. So I'm tossing you first. I don't want to deny myself on Dynamite seeing Mark Briscoe get this TV time, and it was a good match. And again, the crowd was really into it. This Oklahoma crowd was really loud tonight, I thought.
Yeah, they were.
Briscoe gets a win with the driver, so it's nice to see Mark Briscoe get a win. To their credit, commentary is also noting this match is still important to these guys because you still want to try to set a tone going into 2024. You want to try to get a win after having several losses. So I feel like there was all this done to try to justify the match. But at the same point, part of me can't help but go, you're giving me a match where you tell me it's part of the tournament, but neither man can advance in the tournament. They're both eliminated. I kind of think like sports wise, when you get to this point and late in the season, in the regular season, when neither team can make the playoffs, you flex the schedule. You move a game and you move it. Put this on the pre-show, film it for social media, and tell me to watch it on social media. I feel like you could have used this time on Dynamite for something else that is going to advance. Nothing's going to advance here. They're both eliminated from the tournament. I don't know. I'm torn.
No, I feel the same way because I was doing my regular watch along as I always do, and I say, hey, if I'm there and I'm working there, I'll be like, I'm not wrestling this match. You know what I mean? Like, why would you? But I will say, to give both of these performers credit, it was my favorite match of the night. I don't know if they came out there and assumed that everybody was going to be thinking, why are we watching this? So let's put on a show. Because they turned it around. I went into it making fun of calling it the Cero Puntos match, and it ended up like really turning things around. I was happy to see Mark Briscoe getting the win because I thought he looked incredible in this tournament. But at the same time, I get that bittersweet feeling like, damn, you're going to do Jay Lethal like that? Like 0 points, you know? But I got to tell you, it was my favorite match of the night. Ooh. But I agree with you. It was very pointless.
All right, Jamie, where does this stand with you?
I kind of agree with that. I hate to sound like Captain Agreeable, but it did make really no sense. And sometimes the announcers are there to help you put pieces together, so to speak. And I don't recall anybody mentioning that. Look, obviously, neither of these guys, either Briscoe or Lethal, have any points in this match. They have no chance of going further in the tournament, and they both have 0 points. But to them, it'd be even more embarrassing to end their time in this tournament with 0 points. So it's this match is important to both men not to go winless or something along those lines. If you understand the point I'm trying to make,
yeah,
give it a reason, which, you know, in hindsight, when you look at it with both men with 0 points, there really was no reason to it other than, look, here are guys that have great chemistry going to have a hell of a match, which they did. But at the same time, at least in commentary, they could have covered up in that sort of fashion. Say, look, neither one of these guys want to go through this entire tournament winless or something along those lines.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So, I mean, I guess we could at least say Mark Briscoe should have some momentum now going into whatever's next for him. I also thought, too, this was kind of nice by commentary, noting how, again, kind of trying to justify a little bit of his performance in the tournament, having 0 points going into this match, that they're saying that Mark Briscoe has noted how this is kind of his rookie year as a singles wrestler, which is true because he's been attacked. So I thought that was an interesting spin of like, he's going from tag team, he's learning how to not have anybody there to tag. He's doing it, you know, singles run in honor of his brother. So I'm here for more Mark Briscoe, and I want to see what 2024 holds for him. Again, the crowd was very much behind him. As they both came out and were being told 0 points, both eliminated. Puntos. Yeah, I was just like, I don't know.
I was like, is this determining who is the number 1 and number 2 loser of the tournament? Like, I wouldn't wrestle it. Okay, I would have been like, yeah, I'm not going out there.
Yeah,
that would make a good storyline. You know, like why would I go out there?
But Tony Khan doesn't believe in that. You go out and you put on a great wrestling match. We had a great match, great night, great crowd.
Yeah, but imagine somebody starting a gimmick where they're just like, I'm not wrestling just to wrestle. Wasn't it for me? Otherwise, I'm not doing it. That would be great.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. We get into our big promo of the night in ring. Samoa Joe comes out and says how last week he had the right questions, but he was asking the wrong people. He begins to note how MJF's attack by being attacked by the devil seems questionable. You know, we didn't actually see him be attacked. We just saw him laying there. MJF comes out and says, Samoa Joe, hasn't been protecting him as Samoa Joe promised he would. MJF notes how the goons surrounded the ring a few weeks ago around Joe, and they didn't even touch Joe. He wants to go ahead and just finish Joe now. He rips off the shirt, rips off the belts. He's ready to go right then and there. And then here comes some of the masked men. At first, Joe and MJF just make easy work of the first round of henchmen. And then here comes the bigger in stature masked men. They come out of the crowd. They surround the ring.
There was like 80 of them, LaBar.
There was. This is turning into a retribution kind of situation where you can't keep count.
Reproducing like freaking gremlins. Somebody's like getting them wet or something.
So the bigger ones surround the ring. Lights go out. We see a clip of the devil on the screen. Then we see text on the screen, basically challenging Joe and MJF for the ROH tag titles next week on Dynamite, to which Joe accepts. So again, we all kind of agree. We think, then God, this should just conclude by World's End. Last time we were gonna get a tag match. These guys saw attacks happening backstage, and so the match never happened. Jimmy, where are you at this point with this entire devil situation? And there is more to come backstage with Max, but we'll get to it in a little bit after this segment. Though, where are you at here?
After the segment, still looking forward to the big reveal. I want to see who it is finally to get it over with, because as much as I'm one of those people who love stories taking their time to be told, sometimes you can take too long and get people uninterested. And I'm starting to go the other way with it now. Okay, I am curious to see who the devil is, but it's about time for the reveal. Let's do it.
Yeah, Isa?
Yeah, I just want to know who it is. And the way that there was like 10 of them, like 20 of them out there today, it's just getting to be a bit too much.
All right,
and why are they going after the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship? If it's not Adam Cole, like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, if I'm going after MJF, I want the big belt. I don't want the toy belt.
Yes. Well, we'll table the devil thoughts for a moment, but keep it in your mind. We'll get back to the devil here in a few, and I will ask you, who is the devil? So think about that for a second. Actually, real quick, too, while we're at this moment of MJF, even though we have more of them, Terry Allen Jr. is waiting patiently for the super chat, so I'll go ahead and bring it up now, saying, will MJF's character must change if going? I think he's asking if MJF goes to WWE, would the character change? And Terry, I don't think so. Why would it? It's over. It's over. It's working. And like I outlined earlier, he can keep the name, he can keep the music, he can keep the look. There's no WWE might add a few extra WWE sprinkles that they know how to do, but for the most part, I think it'll be him. So.
Yeah, they didn't change Cody, and Jade is getting the same name, and I don't know what her presentation will be. We haven't seen her yet, but as far as how they have shown her, she's big, strong Jade, the way that she was being presented in AEW. So, yeah.
All right, up next, and if you wonder, here's some real. I'll pull the curtain back. If you wonder why I can look here. I look at the camera and I can see my two wonderful co-hosts. I look over at this screen over here because I have my Twitter feed up, and it is just the mentions just keep. Can't refresh fast enough from this match and what I tweeted and Twitter's a beautiful dark place.
It's called X, LaBar.
Whatever. Whatever. Elon Musk is fine. He doesn't. I'll call it whatever I want to call it. All right, we get Saraya versus Riho with Tony Storm on commentary, and the gimmick of this match is that the winner will be the #1 contender for Tony Storm's title.
Why'd they do? Who they ever beat?
Riho wins with some double knees. Post-match, Tony Storm's down there in the ring, and Mariah May kind of makes a save. Mariah May, of course, who is just following around as Tony Storm is her biggest fan and trying to earn her way. Mariah May attacks Riho with the belt, keeping Riho from doing anything to Tony Storm. I just don't get it. I've missed the boat with Riho. I don't understand. I don't know what her character is. She comes out, she's smiling, she's happy. Nothing about her proves that I feel like that she could land any offense that's going to be believable or detrimental to her opponent. Quite frankly, Saraya I've stood next to Saraya. Saraya is not Rhea Ripley. She's not.
No, she looks huge.
She's
but she makes size.
Right, but Saraya delivering offense to Riho looked like Saraya was beating up a child. That's visually what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it
And
does.
I don't
And it's
get
painful
it.
to watch Tony Storm try to sell for her too.
I don't get it. I don't. And there's the Riho crowd right now is just coming after me. Here's the thing. Here's the funny thing. The Riho crowd is coming after me, focusing on my tweet where I noticed, or in my tweet I said, if I have a choice between Riho or Saraya in a title match, I'm taking Saraya every time.
Yeah.
That was what I tweeted, and I tweeted just because those two had a match. So everybody, all the Riho fan base is focusing on how bad Saraya is or how whatever, and it's like nothing to do. It could be Riho versus pretty much pick almost any other female wrestler, and it's just I don't. It has nothing. This has to do. That has nothing to do with Saraya. This has to do with Riho. I don't understand. I don't think she's moving a needle. I don't think she's.
No. And I don't. And just from the match, sorry to cut you off there, Justin, but just from the match, you could see that really the audience was kind of not that into it. If you get my point, yes, like you said, there are some fans out there that making a little noise, but for the most part,
they're just throwing women out there and be like, the winner of this match faces X champion next week. Yeah. That's how they do the women's storylines.
And then when you have a television match where the more entertaining part of the match is having Tony Storm on commentary. Yeah, again, the most entertaining part of the match, that speaks volumes to the match that's going on in the ring.
I just
I don't. She's not for me. I don't get it. I don't see the appeal. And if I was just flipping channels, I will keep going.
So somebody's seeing something. I just wish they would let us see it too, because like you talk about character too. We don't know anything about her, and people get invested in the person, not in.
You can't. There's no defining Riho in one sentence. At least in a positive. There's no. Comes out.
I was gonna say I could do it, but people are not gonna like it.
Comes out, smiles, happy to be there.
Right.
I don't know. I just don't get. I'm sorry. And again, I mean, and like so I started. So then I googled her, and I wanted to try. And I googled and whatever. And again, she's from Japan, and things are different in terms of the wrestling business. She started training had her first match when she's 9, and I'm like, what? I don't know.
And she never grew up, apparently.
No. Something stunted her growth.
Stay the same size ever since. I just can't. I can't. I have a hard time believing her outfit.
Right now, I'm sitting at over 70. I'm over 70 replies to my first tweet about this Riho nonsense.
So no!
It just keeps growing.
Wow!
It just keeps growing.
That's what I'll do after the show. I'll pour myself a nice glass of wine and open your tweet and just read the replies.
We'll FaceTime. Cheers. I'm doing the same thing. I'm just sitting here, just having a sip, just kind of giggling along. That's all I can do. I'm not deleting the tweet. I ain't taking the shit down because I believe it.
Again, when Twitter is more interesting than the actual person you're tweeting about.
In my stream, I think we started talking about my favorite Christmas song, which is obviously the classic Dick in a Box, and then I played it for some people in the stream that didn't know what the song was. That's what we were talking about during this match. That should tell you something.
Riho can,
Christmas classic.
Riho can thank me because I definitely increased the amount of people typing her name tonight on Twitter.
There you go.
All right, Tony Schiavone reads a note from Christian Cage where basically it notes that Christian took his son Nick Cage on a well-deserved vacation. Christian Cage will return this Saturday to Collision to address Adam Copeland's challenge. I believe it's a challenge for another match at World's End. So Jimmy, kind of fun here. Nice little take. I guess Christian's not legit not there, so a nice little way to have Tony Schiavone in Christian's voice read a promo and also promote his appearance this Saturday. Any takeaways to this at all?
No, it's typical Christian stuff, and it worked. The crowd bought into it. They didn't like what they were hearing. And, and it furthers another storyline that people are very much into because there is a history there. So I thought it was a fun little segment. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Isa, I don't, because we've kind of missed each other in recent weeks. I don't even know if you and I got to talk since Adam Copeland and Christian Cage had their match, but where are you right now with this feud between these two legends?
I didn't watch last week. I hated the ending of their match. Hated it.
Okay.
I like the match, hated the ending. So I want to see what kind of reset we do here moving forward. Anything with Christian Cage, I'm always looking forward to every week. As much as I didn't like the ending of that match, it didn't turn me off from enjoying, what he's doing. So I want to see what he does next. I'm not sure if he had a segment last week, but I want to see where this goes.
Bernie in DC, Bernie, big Caps one tonight, so I know you're a fan of that. Bernie says, need a pic of Christian and Nick Wayne on a roller coaster with the wish you were here postcard. No, well, that, Bernie, but we also need like confirmation that Christian's on vacation with Nick Wayne and Nick Wayne's mom. All right, that's what
That's
we need.
That's the T.
That's the picture we need. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, up next, this might have been the most interesting segment of the night. It was all done backstage, but that's a choice, but I don't always hate that because sometimes that's got a lot of benefits, certain, control the situation. MJF and Samoa Joe continue to kind of have their argument that they had in the ring, and then we see them kind of break apart. MJF storms down the hall. He stops. He sees a black mask, similar to the ones that these henchmen are wearing. He sees it on the ground, and it's on the ground right in front of the Mogul Embassy locker room, to which he bangs the door down, puts his hands on Nana, and then Swerve Strickland comes out, saves Prince Nana, and then Swerve and MJF proceed to have several minutes of a face-to-face, almost nose-to-nose, and basically, again, I won't go verbatim. I don't ever think that benefits anybody that wants to do that, but basically the highlights here are Swerve accuses MJF of avoiding him. MJF says, we're on different levels, does recall the fact these two used to be riding buddies in the independent scene back in the day, so they know each other well before AEW. Swerve says, yeah, you're a great chauffeur for me. I appreciate that. Swerve then warns MJF, you keep putting my name in your mouth and you keep coming around with accusations. Just watch what's going to happen. MJF thinks it makes sense and gives his reasons why Swerve could be the devil. And Swerve says, I'm not the devil you're looking for, but basically, I'll be coming for you if you still have the title. So I gave the highlights. That's what we do. We're not going to go down into the word for word verbatim but I do say to anybody who did not watch Dynamite and they look to us for the Cliff Notes, this is a segment. Go find it.
Yeah.
Because Isa, I felt the energy here. Swerve certainly is rising. I think he's going to win the Continental Classic. I think he's being positioned as the next big guy to challenge the title. So I felt something here, but this is also relevant to our conversation we had earlier. This felt like we're doing this because once we get past World's End, we get into 2024, this is a feud that we're going to try to make money off of. So this would then lend it to the argument of MJF is locked down and remaining with AEW. So a lot, I tossed at you. What did you take from this?
I love this segment. Every once in a while, AEW will pull this off where there's a little conversation between people backstage and you realize that they barely interacted and it's a match that we haven't gotten. And maybe they'll book a story like here, just with the tease tonight. This might be a story. This might be a long-term thing. I love that Swerve pointed out, you do tryouts, I signed contracts. I thought Swerve had a lot of really good lines in there. At one point he said, the last world champion I faced, I left him hanging from a chain in the ring. Swerve has been waiting for this.
Yeah, the last person that got in his face, which was Hangman. He was telling MJF cool down. The last person.
Yeah, but he mentioned him being a world champion as well.
Yeah,
which is funny. A former AEW world champion. But yeah, I thought Swerve was incredible here. He's grown on me a lot, and it's good to see because MJF has been here since day one. Sometimes it's very hard to think back and see who do I want to see MJF face next. Sometimes you feel like he's done it all, but he hasn't. And there's still some good opponents out there for him. I just hope that they book the story the right way. But yeah, I love this segment, and I will say go back and watch it. This is one that I will tell everybody, go back and watch it. It was good stuff.
Jimmy, do you want to see an MJF versus Swerve match? And does this kind of, in wrestling lingo and wrestling booking, does this kind of confirm that Tony Khan either has MJF locked down or Tony Khan strongly believes he's got MJF re-signing?
I think he's locked down pretty much, and especially considering you've planted a major seed again here in this. And one of the things you did do in this planting of the seed is you talked about their history. We've already know that he has a history right now with Samoa Joe. Wardlow, we saw, talking about his issues with MJF. But Now we saw Swerve come out and show some personality as well. And as I keep saying every week on this show, people get invested in the character as well as what they do in the ring. And the more you show them from a character standpoint that they can get invested in, the more they get behind you. And Swerve showed a lot in this interaction with MJF. He hung with him.
Yeah.
And MJF is, let's put it this way, one of the best talkers out there right now.
Yeah, and part of MJF's shtick is he's gonna condescend you. At one point, after Swerve gave his first, bit of verbal fire, MJF, "Ooh, you're working on your monologue, bud. Really good." So you have, and that's a tough thing to battle.
He called him kid. When he called him kid, I popped.
Yeah.
Wayne says, "Can we note that Justin feels it's Swerve time? Swerve will be facing Keith Lee again by the end of February." I don't think. I think they found they have something here with Swerve. And I don't think that's going to be the case there, Wayne. But we'll
they
see.
do have something with Swerve here. Hopefully, right. As I've said before, they use this term. Hopefully, he doesn't get Wardlowed. Let's put it that way.
Hi, Jimmy.
Well, speaking of Wardlow, let me ask you guys.
It still hurts.
We're probably 10 days out from when we're going to get the reveal. Who is the damn devil? Who is it? I don't need to know who all the henchmen are.
Right.
Who's the ringleader? I don't give a shit if Marco Stunt came back and got a job being dressed as a henchman on stilts. Who's the devil? Who's the ringleader here?
To be honest with you, I thought it's got to be someone that makes people go, I didn't expect that, because I think it was last week where I kind of suggested that what if it were somebody like Samoa Joe, just to throw a little monkey wrench into everything. But now, after tonight, what if it is someone like Wardlow?
Wardlow makes the most sense to me because there's been the threat of he wants MJF. He's going to get MJF. It's a little backwards. Like Wardlow's character is not the style to need to hide behind a mask, but that's also something that I can see Tony Khan not even really factoring in. Because
neither was MJF, and they hadn't come back under the mask.
Yeah, Wardlow to me makes the most sense. And no, I do not have any insider information. That is not me at all. I don't know. I have not talked to Wardlow about the devil mask. I have no idea.
Jack Perry. It's Jack Perry.
God. Oh, no. Wardlow makes the most sense. Joe also makes a little bit of sense because Joe wants to do anything to get this world title, and he already lost MJF once, so it's like maybe this is him pulling out all the stops. Swerve maybe, but they wouldn't have done this big they wouldn't have done the big confrontation with Swerve if that was going to be it, because they would want to blindside you with that. So, and then as of today, several WWE talent who got released 90 days ago are free game.
Available.
But so I mean, if you're going for shock factor, there's that. But
what if especially after tonight, since we got the terrible news about Kenny Omega, what if it ends up being Jericho?
That's an audible, I guess they could call, Jimmy. You're right. That's an audible.
It's a backup plan.
It's a backup plan. Right. I hadn't even thought about Jericho. Yeah, I guess that's if
guys, set your expectations to the worst of the worst.
That way
you're either
not
disappointed or pleasantly surprised. That's the secret.
Isa, I'm gonna give you the floor. What is the worst possible situation?
Wheeler Yuta. Wheeler Yuta is the devil.
Oh.
That's it. That's the worst.
Wheeler Yuta is the worst.
Wow.
Yeah, 1000%.
Okay.
All right. Floor's yours.
No.
Give me the best.
Wardlow. We know I have a thing for Wardlow. So Wardlow will be the best. The best will be no. In all seriousness, I told you my expectation is MJF is behind the whole thing, and he's going back to his old heel ways.
All right. Are we together? Actually, I'm not with you guys next Wednesday, so I don't know who's with.
No, we're not here next Wednesday.
We're not here. That's all. All right. So we'll do this now. Yeah. Actually, I guess programming note to everybody. Rest of the taking next week off. There's no podcast next week.
They're being nice. They're giving us a week off, you guys. Yeah.
I don't know if that's public information, but screw it. I just made it public. What are they gonna do? Fire me? Yeah, I
said it. So no, I think me and Glenn talked about it yesterday.
Okay.
So.
All right. So let's just do this then. Yes or no? Is MJF going to retain the title at World's End?
I think if there's a time to take it off and get people guessing, especially with this, is he going to sign? That would be the time to relieve him of the AEW championship and make people go, ooh, because I think that would generate more speculation as opposed to the old, oh, is he going to take the title with him and drop it in the garbage kind of thing? Nobody's thinking.
I don't think so. I don't think I think MJF's reign has gotten to a point that it needs to be taken out by somebody that's ready, like a Swerve. Nothing on Samoa Joe, but I don't think Samoa Joe should be the one right now.
Prior to tonight, I agree completely with Jimmy. Have MJF lose. You're going to, again, lean into this speculate. And this is all, again, on the assumption that you have MJF resigned. You can lean into the whole, oh my God, MJF's going. He's gone. He's gone. You can give him a little bit of time off to rest his body. I know he's dealing with some injuries. And then he can resurface when AEW fans don't expect it, which makes it a big deal. And it's going to make his re-signing that much more of a big deal when he pops back up 3, 4, 5 months down the road. That's what I thought before tonight. But then tonight they went ahead and gave us this awesomeness between he and Swerve. So now I'm like, if December 30th World's End comes and goes and MJF loses that title at World's End to Joe, to the Devil, to Riho, whatever, if he loses that world title at 12, because you just gave me this tease of MJF and Swerve, if MJF drops that title in his hometown on December 30th, I am very strongly going to think, oh shit, he really is a free agent. Because we had to pull the title off of him to see what he's going to do contractually. You know, like if you just tease him and Swerve, that makes me think, oh, him and Swerve's a done deal. It's going to happen in February or in March or whatever. So if they did that tonight, but then they also have MJF then lose the title, that tells me they have to have him lose the title because they contractually have to, because they don't have him under contract 2 days later. And they're going to hope that he resigns and they'll pick right back up with the Swerve stuff that they just planted a seed for. That's what this tells me. So if he loses that title in 12:30, tune in the next day on Busted Open, because I'm going to be Nostradamus it all day.
Wait, can you? I'm calling in.
I will give you the Fast Pass hotline. You don't have to wait with everybody else. You can get right to the front of the line. Jimmy knows he has that now too. All right, we got 2 matches left here. Let's do it. Roderick Strong up against Commander. No reason for this match.
Why?
I don't know. It's not. There's no reason for this match. There's no. I
love that you said it before I couldn't even get my why out.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Did Commander steal Roderick Strong's lunch money? Did he hurt his neck? I don't know why, but we had a match, competitive match. It is what it is. Roddy's very fun, entertaining now. He wins with his finisher, puts the neck brace back on, has a post-match promo where he says that all the signs point towards MJF as the devil. Roddy says it's obvious that MJF is the devil, and that's that. Isa, again, in the whole devil conversation, where does Roderick Strong and company fit into this? Are they henchmen? Are they the devil?
I thought in the beginning when there was only 3 of them because of the Kyle O'Reilly henchmen, I thought that could be a possibility, but I don't know anymore. I don't know what they're doing with Roddy. I just know he's entertaining, but this match was so unnecessary.
All right.
It was good though. It was
a good. No, it was a good match. There's nothing wrong with the match. See, and that's the problem here that I'm having, at least sometimes with the television program. It's not the in-ring work. People are saying, "Oh, no." The in-ring work is fine most of the time. It's just that there isn't a reason for it. Give me reasons. That's what gets me invested. Okay,
I agree. I see somebody saying Roddy called out Commander out on Saturday on Collision. They need to make that clear because nobody knows that.
Did they even show a little video clip of it? So that
but I will give them a shout out on the video package that they did showing what's going on with the Blue Bracket tournament. They have kept us up to date with what's going on the other side of the tournament. So at least they are doing that.
No, that's fine. But like you said, give me a reason to want to watch this match. Show that little clip from Saturday night, which doesn't get the viewership that Wednesday night does. So that people watching on Wednesday night go, okay, this is why this is happening.
Yeah, not at all. They were in a collision was in Erie a few weeks ago, and it looked bad on TV. And then I actually talked to somebody today who works in Erie, Pennsylvania, and has connections with all the different buildings and venues and what have you. And they said to me that it was 2,000 people there, 1,700 paid, which not the best. All right, main event time. More Continental Classic. Jay White with 9 points. John Moxley with 12 points. Jay White is going to win this against John Moxley. I did not see that coming. So now we end Dynamite tonight. We are at a 3-way tie on the gold bracket, I believe. 3-way tie with 12 points. John Moxley, Jay White, and Swerve Strickland. And mind you, this thing has to wrap up. This thing is supposed to wrap up at World's End. So we're coming down here to
the next week.
Yeah, coming down to the wire here. John Moxley, Jay White, and Swerve Strickland. Isa, again, I stand by this. My fun Busted Open co-host Jonathan Hood calls this entire tournament the Bryan Danielson Invitational. This whole tournament was for Bryan, who never got to do the G1. I agree with that, but I think this is Swerve Strickland's tournament to win. I think Swerve is going to beat Jay White and John Moxley and come out as the representative of the gold side. What say you?
Yeah, I think Jay White's gonna take the pin next week. But I think it could go either way. I'm rooting for Swerve, but I just like they always have Moxley win one way or another. So I also don't bet against Moxley. This match was fun. I wasn't expecting the outcome. The win kind of came out of nowhere. We were running out of time. Like, it had all of the drama, all the stress, all of the everything. I thought it was very well done. I really was not expecting Jay White to walk away with the win here, and ended up making this tournament a lot more interesting towards the end here than I would have given it credit at the beginning. Like I said, the blue bracket is a mess. You can't tell who's winning like anytime soon. And now the gold bracket, we have a 3-way tie. So I do think they ended up doing a good job with how this is all paying off. But I'm rooting for Swerve. I hope that Swerve wins, but I don't bet against Mox either.
Jimmy, 3-way tie on the gold side. Right. John Moxley, Jay White, Swerve Strickland. Who is going to the finals for the gold side?
It makes sense for someone like Swerve because there is a lot of upside in Swerve right now. Moxley, even if he doesn't come out of this tournament as the representative for the gold side, it doesn't matter. He's not going to lose any of the steam and momentum that he has. Jay White, with that audience, they've bought into him, so he's basically couldn't be hurt by a loss in this situation, especially in a 3-way match where whoever takes the pin can take it and not lose any steam.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so it makes a lot of sense for someone like a Swerve to be the one to come out of this and be the one who is elevated, because especially after that interaction with MJF tonight, it makes it feel like he's the guy they need to move forward with.
That's exactly it. They just tease that Swerve is the guy that's going to now, once MJF gets past his, that's the thing. We don't know who the devil is. If the devil's Wardlow or somebody, well, then you also have Wardlow setting the sights on MJF, but they tease Swerve wanting to get some from MJF. So if Swerve wins this tournament, they never gave us, I mean, that would make this tournament matter that we had. This tournament has been occupying so much of their TV show for the last month. So if the winner of the tournament then gets a shot at MJF, that would make a lot of sense. That would make this tournament make sense. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. I think Swerve as well. I think Swerve versus Bryan Danielson is your finals at World's End, and Bryan Danielson does the JOB to Swerve Strickland. That was your Dynamite tonight from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Also worth noting on that main event, Oklahoma's favorite, Jim Ross on the commentary desk. So great to hear good old JR. Yeah. He of course dealt with a lot of health issues earlier this year, so nice to see him. He looked good from what they showed us on camera. Right. So good to see him. So that's that for Dynamite tonight. Of course, again, this is the last you will hear of this crew in 2023 because we are off next week. So a lot of fun. A lot of fun's going to happen in the next 10 days in the AEW world, and then of course day 1, January 1. WWE's kicking it off with a big Monday Night Raw. So make sure you're here for that for us on the podcast there. And as I mentioned, New Year's Eve day, December 31st, I will be on Busted Open Radio for our my now regular Sunday spot, 9 a.m. to noon Eastern time. So make sure you check that out. You can hear the podcast, which is a condensed version, or you can hear live on the radio, channel 156, or via the app. That's my cheap plug. Also, check out the Busties, which earlier tonight, which I mentioned. Great lineup. Dom Mysterio, Wade Barrett, Gunther, Cody Rhodes, Don Callis, Swerve Strickland. Great lineup. And then in addition to all that was, of course, the normal crew: Dave LaGreca, Bully Ray, Tommy Dreamer, Mark Henry, Thunder Rosa, Mickey James, myself, Jay Hood, Denise Salcedo. So a lot of fun stuff's going on there. My Riho tweet is, we're now in the hundreds on likes and replies. Grab your drink, Isa. You're gonna have a fun night reading all this stuff.
Oh, I can't wait.
Isa, give me some cheap plugs.
Yeah, everybody can find me on NYC Demon Diva across all platforms, in Instagram, Twitter, all over, especially here on YouTube. NYC Demon Diva. I do watch alongs, also Lucha Libre Online for all my interview and my work with WWC. We do have Dolph Ziggler having his first post WWE match here. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Matt Cardona is going to be at that show as well. That's our show in January. It's called Euphoria. You'll be able to get it on pay-per-view. Anyways, find me on socials and subscribe to my YouTube.
Give us more details. What's going on? So that Dolph's first match is down there in Puerto Rico. Give us the details.
Yeah, he's going to face Ray Gonzalez, which is the OG GOAT here. That's going to be fun. His brother is coming as well. I'm not sure what his match is. And so is Chris Hero's going to be here, I believe. There's a couple of, they're bringing a couple of outside talent. But I'm excited to see Matt Cardona because he's, the king of the indies, but he hasn't touched this territory. So I'm ready to see what he does over here.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, check out Isa. She's doing all of her things, from her watch-alongs to the ring announcements. Also, all very.
I do everything.
I know. I'm
over the world.
I'm proud of you. I love it. I love it. Jimmy Korderas, cheap plugs. Final thoughts.
Well, final thoughts. I'm going to make one little critique. I wish that they would be a little bit different with the tournament matches. Every match having so much going on outside the ring. And yes, I get the announcers are trying to cover up by saying the referees are trying to be lenient and give them a little leeway when they're outside. But if every match is like that, then it means nothing. And then you go into a match later on where you tease the count out, where Mox just beats the count. And anyways, other than that, again, the in-ring stuff was pretty good. They furthered some stories, which now make me go, I'd like to see that. And that's what you want. And it was, for me, obviously here on Monday nights and Wednesday nights, Wednesdays with this crew, which I like. Next week, obviously, we're taking a little Christmas/New Year's break. So, and I'm also taking a little break from my ref and rants. I know I usually do it from Mondays to Wednesdays, but until I'm off, taking a little hiatus until the 2024 starts. And then back in 2024 with a lot of P&V, I'll be back raring and ready to go.
With a lot of what? P&V?
Yeah. Back in the old days, you couldn't say piss and vinegar on television. Apparently you can say a lot more, but now it's, it's P&V. I guess.
That's funny.
Am I sure?
You said P. I was like, did you mean like POV, like point of view? Like, I didn't know what you were.
Yeah, POV.
Yeah.
Piss and vinegar. All right. Yeah. Fair enough.
That's an old school saying. It's kind of like me hearing the crowd going yeet, yeet. And I'm going, what is yeet?
Jimmy, I've known you for over a decade. I've never really seen you fired up with piss and vinegar. So I don't know. I can't. Yeah.
It's a non-Canadian thing. What can I tell you?
I think PMV is more likely than him saying yeet. I will say that.
Now I've seen Isa. I've seen Isa full of PNV before. Like, I've seen her. I've seen her get so mad she starts speaking language I can't understand. I'm like, well,
I start speaking in tongues. If I start cursing in Spanish, it's over.
I just order another round or walk away. I can't.
Yeah, if I break out the Greek, look out.
All right, Dimitri. All right, that's gonna do it for this crew. We are past our bedtimes. The replies keep on coming. Keep on.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait. I'm gonna scroll through it. That's gonna be my entertainment of the night.
Apparently, because I don't get Riho. Apparently, I'm racist.
Oh no.
Oh my goodness.
God.
Listen, let's end on a positive note. I want to wish you guys and everybody that ever watches or hang out in the chat happy holidays, happy New Year.
Yes.
We're not going to be here next week to say it. So
yeah.
I love both of you. I look forward to this every Wednesday, and I look forward to hanging out with everybody in the chat. So Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a great way to end it, Isa. And I know, and we unfortunately we don't get to always reply or acknowledge every single one of you. But I know between the chat, between social media comments that a lot of you that watch this podcast regularly, it's very moving, the amount of people that note how important this podcast is. And importance is relative, but importance is for everybody, whether it's, hey, I got a long commute to my job and this just helps make the commute better, that's great for you. Or if it's something like even more serious where it's like, hey, I'm dealing with dark days and depression and this is something that like I look forward to, it's like a happy hour that I can, whatever it is, you're no more or less important than anybody else. It's important to you, and that's what matters. That's awesome that we can be part of your life, and you guys subscribe and listen. And this, of course, podcast is free to listen to, which is very important. I'm a big believer of this. It needs to be free for everybody to access. So that's awesome. So thanks to everybody. It's been a great 2023. This is the last for us on the Wednesday Night Crew here in 2023. It's been a great 2023. Looking forward to 2024. And again, it's going to be a wild wrestling year. So come along on the ride with that. Thanks to Ricky Z, who I see saying some nice things, Bernie, DC. We have a lot of regulars that are in the chat that are always very supportive. They are an extended part of this Wrestling Inc. family. Thanks to all of you who watch on demand whenever you do, who you listen on demand, whatever you do, like, subscribe, comment, tell a friend. Let that be a stocking stuffer. Tell a friend about a nice wrestling podcast that they can get entertainment
your Christmas card right at the bottom.
Yeah.
XOXO. But P.S. Watch Wednesday Night Wrestling. Watch all of Wrestling Inc.
There is something. I mean, look, just in this in this Hollywood Squares trio right here, there's something for everybody. You got a former WWE referee who can present logic and perspective that nobody else can. You have a spicy, nonstop climbing the charts of engagement, and Isa, who always is putting out content, who is going to make you feel something strongly one way or the other, no matter what. And then I'm here, and I'm not here for a long time.
The pro of all pros. Come on, LaBar. No, I wouldn't not even touch YouTube if it wasn't for you. So thank you.
You're welcome. So seriously, thanks to everybody that's been part of this ride with us in 2023. Looking forward to 2024. Be good. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever it is you're celebrating. Just have a happy holiday. Be safe. Love each other, and we'll talk.